Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Once again, my voice is still toast, guys. I'm still recovering my voice from an illness, but we're here. So there's a active shooter. I believe the shooter has been neutralized, but was an active shooter in Michigan at an LDS church, one of those Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints churches. And there are multiple victims, and apparently the shooter also set a fire on church property. So there's a lot going on there. Let's get up to speed, and there's going to be a press conference that's starting very, very soon. Let's do it.
Meantime, we are getting reports this afternoon of an active shooter and a fire at a church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. That's about an hour outside of Detroit. Let's go to Brian Yennis. He has the very latest for us. Brian, what can you tell us?
Kevin, good afternoon. A developing story indeed. We can tell you right now that the Grand Blanc police say that fire that you're seeing on your screen was started by a suspected active shooter. Sources telling Fox 2 Detroit that active shooter is now down. So this is the situation we have. We also know, according to that reporting from our local affiliate in Detroit, that there are 6 to 8 victims. Their condition currently unknown at this hour. An active shooter shooting the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church in Grand Blanc Township. This is about 60 minutes northwest of Detroit, about 10 miles south of Flint, Michigan. We have seen some folks, victims being taken out by stretcher. There has been a full-blown response to this church. We don't know how this fire was started, but sources tell our Fox 2 Detroit that fire was started by the suspected shooter. This all started shortly after 11 a.m. local time. We expect a press conference at about 12:45, 1 o'clock Eastern, with the latest from the police. But this is, unfortunately, this was a church that they had people there worshiping inside.
That church is huge.
This church is open 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. today.
Hey, I want to show you guys this real quick. We're going to go to some live coverage right now. Because I mean the footage, I'm looking at different things.
About an hour or so ago,
look how big this church is. Look how big the fire is. The extent of the smoke, of the fire that fully engulfed this church in Grand Blanc. We do know, and the police chief just confirmed it, that although there are 10 people that are victims, the chief believes that there may be more inside that church. Oh my God.
That were just unable to get out.
You kidding me?
So that number could go higher. Also, the shooter, we know that shooter is dead. He's a 40-year-old man from Burton. I don't believe that's too far from Grand Blanc Township, but we do not know the relationship between the shooter and the church. Was he a parishioner? Did he know someone there? Did he try to make a statement? We just don't know. The police, we do know that not only police, but the FBI on the scene as we speak, interviewing many of those hundreds of people that were inside the church for any kind of clues. This is protocol right now. Those victims that were removed from the church, I call them victims because they suffered, as Robert, I think you mentioned too, a tragic situation, having to run out of there. But nevertheless, they've been excluded right now away from any of the media because this is an active scene and an active investigation.
So this guy rammed his truck into the church and proceeded to shoot people, set the church on fire. Police were able to kill him. Allegedly, this is a picture of the truck rammed into the church. Allegedly. Let's keep going.
Now being conducted apparently by the FBI. You just read a statement from Pam Bundy.
Yeah.
And so this is an active scene. Again, the feds, state and local authorities are involved.
Yeah, Charlie, President Donald Trump is also getting word of exactly what is going on. He is weighing in on social media. He says in a statement, I have been briefed on the horrendous shooting that took place at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The president says the FBI was immediately on scene and will be leading the federal investigation and providing full support to state and local officials. He says that the suspect is dead, but there's still a lot to learn. This appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. This is according to President Donald Trump. The Trump administration will keep the public posted, as we always do. The president says, in the meantime, pray for the victims and pray for their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately.
Pause it right there real quick. Big shout out to DP, Chris. She, with a $20 super chat, she says, so sad to hear about this, but thank you to you for bringing us the news and being here with us to talk through these tragedies. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting me. Without you, I'd just be here by myself. So I really do appreciate you. And everybody who's watching, we do appreciate you. Please hit that like button, not because you're happy to see what I'm reporting, but because we're here and we're able to discuss this together as a family. Please hit that like button. Let's do it.
End quote. Again, that is President Donald Trump reacting to the shooting that we had here at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township earlier this morning. We now know it happened right around 10:25 this morning. That's when the calls first started coming into police about this mass shooting. We do know that there were 10 people that were shot. One has been killed.
So I'm hearing that at least two of them are children. At least two are children. Let's keep going.
We know that multiple people are in critical condition at this hour. Multiple people are in stable condition. And unfortunately, during a press conference just a short time ago, we learned that there will likely be more victims connected to this because there was a massive fire that broke out. We're still trying to figure out the timeline when that fire started, but there was a massive fire, and police believe that there were likely victims that were trapped inside because of that. Just a horrendous situation that is playing out just north of us here.
And we do know that the shooter, a 40-year-old man from Burton, not too far from where this church took place. We do not know, however, the motive. What was the motive? Obviously, that is a question that the President of the United States has now been made aware. We do know that the FBI on hand right now interviewing a number of people that were inside. We're told hundreds of people were inside.
All right, let's jump to that press conference real quick. Apparently it was like 30 minutes ago. I want to hear what they have to say. Let's do it.
a.m. within Grand Blanc Township. First off, I'd like to say our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this incident, which is completely unnecessary and avoidable. The incident that we're going to talk about here today, as I said, was happening at 10:25 a.m. at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is located at 4285 McCandless Road. During this incident, what we know right now is that a 40-year-old suspect from Burton, he's a male, he drove his vehicle through the front doors of the church. He then exited his vehicle, firing several rounds at individuals within the church. 10 gunshot victims have been transported to local hospitals at this time, including one who has been deceased. Officers who were trained immediately responded to the area. One was a DNR officer, and then one was a Grand Blanc Township officer, where they met the suspect and they engaged in gunfire with that particular individual, neutralizing that suspect, and that suspect is no longer with us. As I said, it is a 40-year-old male from Burton. During all this incident as well, there was a fire that occurred, and we believe that was deliberately set by the suspect. We do believe that we will find additional victims once we have that scene secure. That fire was just extinguished by the Grand Blanc Township Fire Department within the past hour. So where we go from here is we have investigators. We're going to do search warrants on the suspect's residence. We're going to find out if there was a motive. We're going to go through cell phone records, things like that. We had FBI, they're devoting 100 agents to this area, because as you can imagine, There's a lot of witnesses that were within the church, and that is a lot of witness information statements that we have to obtain. So I'd like to thank all the agencies who responded, the City of Grand Blanc, Genesee County, Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Flint Township Police Department, the DNR, the State Police, and the ATF. I will provide additional information for you at 5 p.m., but I am willing to take any questions that you have that I could possibly answer right now.
Chief, can you talk about the kind of the progress of events? Did the suspect set the fire to get back inside of his vehicle and then blam the front door, or did it all happen at the same time?
So from what I understand, and again, this is just a preliminary investigation right now, from what I have been briefed on, is that he rammed the vehicle through the front door, exited, then started firing shots. We are still trying to determine exactly when and where that fire ended up coming from and how it got started. So we believe it was deliberately set, though, by the suspect.
Were they in an active service when this happened?
Yes, the service was active. There was hundreds of people within the church.
Are you sure it's only one suspect at this point, or is it possible other people helped setting the fire? What happened?
Yes, it is one suspect that we know of at this point. We do not believe that there's a threat to the public. We believe that we have the guy who did this.
Andy?
Sir.
Could you comment on the severity of the injuries at this time?
We have a couple in critical condition. Like I said, one is deceased. The rest of them are in stable condition.
So a couple, maybe 3 or 2, I'm sorry?
One deceased. The suspect is deceased as well. And then multiple victims are in critical condition. We do believe that we will find some additional victims once we find the area where the fire was.
Any word on the weapon yet?
An assault rifle.
So, any, as far as ammunition, did he have a lot of ammunition?
That I don't know of yet, and I could get you later.
Hi, Bill.
Hey.
Was the suspect known to authorities, and did he have any connection to anyone who was in that church?
Right now, we don't have any of that information, but I'm confident that our investigators, along with the FBI, we're going to end up uncovering all that information and provide that at a later time for you.
Chief, to clarify, you said there may be additional victims like inside the church? Or?
Yes, where the fire was. So, and the reason why we can't confirm that just yet is because it was a large fire, and we do believe that there was people up there that were near that fire, and they were unable to get out of the church. So we do believe that we will find additional victims once we're able to search that, once there's no signs of a fire reigniting.
So do you believe that the victims that are still there, they succumbed to fire injuries or gunshots, or you're not sure yet?
That I'm not sure, but I could provide all that information hopefully at 5 p.m.
The shots were fired.
Shots were fired, yes.
And he had no idea how many, though, at this point.
No idea how many at this time.
Can you
Sir.
describe the church? Is there like a worship area and then like a gathering space or something like that?
That I have not been in, so I can't tell you the layout.
Chief, can you kind of describe the process of how things change for tactical response when there's an active fire? In every training I've seen, it's always been a building that has not been on fire. So how do you deal with an active shooter when you have that situation happening as well?
Well, we are here at Grand Blanc Township, and there's a lot of agencies within the state of Michigan. We are specifically trained to go right to the threat in an active shooter situation. And I'm proud of my guys and the DNR who responded to this scene, who immediately took that suspect out, so there was no additional victims. So that was a great job by our staff.
Right. This is terrible.
Okay.
So
I-
it was a law enforcement officer that neutralized?
This is just
Yes, there was
completely
2 law
terrible.
enforcement officers involved. I will be back here at 5 p.m. to give you additional information and hopefully answer some of the questions that you guys went over.
So I assume at 5 p.m. they're actually going to name the shooter, since they've told us where the shooter lives and how the shooter is. I'm trying to find who this shooter might be before his social media gets scrubbed. But let's keep going.
Here today, so, okay? Supervisor Bennett?
Hello, Scott Bennett, Grand Blanc Township Supervisor. Scott, S-C-O-T-T, Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T. First, let me say we are heartbroken. This kind of violence doesn't happen in our community, and we are heartbroken that it came to Grand Blanc Township. And we're going to do everything we can to support the families, the victims, and our community getting through this situation. And it's something that no community ever wants to have. And we're going to do our best to do everything we can. We appreciate the outpouring of support from our elected leaders from both national and state in offering their assistance, and we probably will take them up on their offers. So we appreciate that very much, and we appreciate the community reaching out to us also. So the details are yet to come, Chief Rennie has said, and we'll wait for a little bit later today when we have the rest of the situation assessed. But it may take a little while to do that. But thank you for all the support, and I'm sure that the families and the victims are going to need that. It's a tragedy that nobody wants to encounter. Thank you.
Chief, before you step out, can you go over the process for family members, where you want them to go, who they should call to get more information or information?
Yeah, so those family members, they are in a secure area right now. They have been taken over to Trillium, so that's where the FBI will interview them and then release them from there. So.
I think in terms of anybody who might be at home who is not there who wants to check in to see if their loved one is okay, is there a number or a place that you want them to go?
Yes, you could call the Grand Blanc Township Police Department, 810-424-2611. Thank you.
All right. Not it? Okay. So we're gonna have to wait until we're gonna have to wait. It's crazy. Until 5 p.m. to kind of get what's really happening.
Inside that church during a service, when the shooter apparently barged through the door and then deliberately set a fire and then got into a shooting match with a police officer that or more that happened to be called to the scene. So the shooter may very well have been on the scene for a while, at least setting the fire. Again, this is all preliminary information, but we just heard from the police chief of Grand Blanc Township, who basically told us what we know. What we don't know, again, is why did this happen, and that will be the big question. And they also, which is very problematic, is the chief said that he believes that there will be more victims. We know 10 now. 1 is dead, at least more than 1 in critical condition, and the number of them in stable condition. And again, there could be more victims. Shooter is dead, and then 1 of the victims dead as well. There'll be another press conference at 5 o'clock, and we should get more information right now, especially after the authorities, including the FBI, talk to this. The other issue, we don't know if there were cameras inside that church, but the problem is because of that fire, a lot of evidence may very well have been destroyed. And I think that that's going to be somewhat problematic for the authorities that have to piece together what happened. So that's
all right. So I'm gonna go over to this news clip because they're kind of like on the ground right now, and I want to see what's happening.
Talking about the search warrants and the cell phone records, when you take a look at something like this, do you anticipate
an attack on Christians?
The United States of America, the Trump administration.
Like many active shooter situations, mass attacks, the FBI is often in the assist role because of their ability to garnish resources from all over the country.
All right, hold on real quick. Big shout out to Aaron Murphy, 6 months member at the White Shield level, says, Prayers to the victims and families of this senseless violence. Let's shoot on down to U.S. Patriot Lady, 21 months as a patrol level, says on 2 times play, trying to catch up. Guys, please hit that like button, support the channel.
With the request of usually the local police chief of the local special agent in charge. And in this particular situation, because you have a church, it's not a far leap to say that this very much could have been federal crime, and that is not just a mass attack, but you have an attack on a church, and so thereby you could easily denote some sort of hate crime, even though later, after all the digital media and the investigation show that it may be a domestic gone bad. Ultimately, the FBI in this case can be working this right at the shoot with regards to it being a church, and the hate crime is not a far leap in order to have the FBI as the primary in this case. But yet we've seen tragedy just unfold within the last couple of weeks of a domestic gone bad with regards to the killings of 3 York County detectives. And so it is a domestic that turns into a mass attack and ultimately just the continued domino effect of this irrational behavior of anger, grievance, and then ultimately to mass shootings, mass attacks. And we'll see as the days come that you are so right with regards to, is there leakage, whether it be a family member, a friend, or somebody that said, yes, this person had been talking about it, maybe in small circles, maybe some sort of digital media communication, but somewhere I would be very surprised if there was not some indication, some red flag that again yet went unnoticed.
And we are continuing to follow the very latest. Our Fox 2 Detroit team does appear to have a reporter there on the ground. So, Scott, I'm just going to raise the audio for that reporter. We'll listen along, and then we can continue our chat.
Real time, a very active investigation. We left that press conference at the Grand Blanc Township Police Department. We're now back here at the scene. As you can see, just right now, Michigan State Police, they are heading in to help with this investigation. Obviously, numerous police agencies are here on site. Now, again, the chief gave us as much as he could. I mean, just to recap that, we know that a 40-year-old burdened man, he was in the vehicle that slammed through the doors of this church. At the time, he actively started firing a round of shots. 10 people were actually victimized. They were shot. We do know that one's dead, including obviously the shooter as well. That's when they were saying that the shooter is down. That's what they meant. He is actually deceased. We don't know a lot about this 40-year-old burdened man. They did say that they were going to actively be looking through like social media accounts and different things. Another thing that we were told, the FBI, they are sending 100 investigators to help with this, and primarily because of the number of people in the church. These 100 agents are going to have to speak to these eyewitnesses. That's exactly what they are, eyewitnesses, and really kind of tell these agents, FBI agents, what they saw, what they heard to help with this investigation. So that's one thing that we did learn. We also learned that although right now they're telling us 10, they believe that there are more victims. Unfortunately, that fire, there were people around that fire, and they believe that some of those people may be deceased. So again, we're waiting to hear more. There's going to be a press conference at 5 o'clock. What started this?
Let me bring you guys up to speed. First of all, let's not make this political in the chat, please. We don't know what the motivations of this person was. In time, it will come out. If the facts say that, it is what it is what it is. I did see the pic of the truck. That's alleged. It's not confirmed that is actually the pick of the truck. It's a pickup truck with American flags on the back. Once again, that doesn't mean anything to me. That's not political, because the American flag is not synonymous only with conservatives or liberals. It's for all Americans. and we don't know if that is his truck. We also don't know if somebody was doing this for political purposes and either had those flags on the back of their truck because they, had an ideology, maybe a conservative ideology, or it's possible, especially in light of all of the violence that we've been seeing lately, it's possible somebody who could be liberal put American flags on the back of their truck to do a false flag. I don't know. I just don't want to be political when we have dead children and all that stuff. Let's wait and see. Let's just wait and see. Let's take this moment before the politics comes in. Let's take this moment and just pray for the victims. Let's take this moment right here and mourn the dead. Let's take this moment right here and pray that we could build a society in the future that won't have this type of violence. And if the political stuff comes later, then okay, so be it. If it's facts, then we'll accept facts. If it's just bull crap and innuendo, we'll throw that to the side. But right now, let's just focus on the victims. And that's all I got to say about that. We have dozens, possibly dozens of people, at least 10 people have been shot. All right. 10 people have been shot. And according to the police, they're expecting tons of victims who may have been burned to death. The death toll of this may, and we hope not, but may just be beginning. May just be beginning. So, yeah, let's just be humans for a moment. Let's just be humans for a moment, and let's just worry about the victims right now. Let's keep going.
And what actually caused this person to do that? That's the $1 million question. I mean, we don't know. Was he a
And, like I said, this person, New Jersey native, who's an asshole, they said, oh, you don't want to be political, but then you said it could be a false flag. I gave you both sides. I said it could be a conservative person who did this, or it could be a liberal person. And I only said about the flags because that's what people were saying inside of the chat. So I'm addressing the chat, but I'm not too fond of you, so you can have a nice life. Anyway, let's keep going.
former member of this church? Did he go to the church? We don't know those questions. And police hopefully... Go ahead, Shirley.
So we were just listening to our Fox 2 Detroit coverage of that, but I did want to bring back in former FBI agent Scott Duffy as we take a live look, a different vantage point of this scene right here. And Scott, you can see that it's still incredibly active at this hour. We are expecting to hear a little bit more from police at 5 p.m. local time. But I wanted to ask you that because, you know, that's in just a few hours. What do you expect police will be able to share further beyond what they already had at this initial press conference?
Well, I would imagine, especially at 5 o'clock, so you're still quite a few hours away. You'll have additional details with regards to a potential number of those who might have been critical that are no longer with us. So you'll probably have a little more of a breakdown of the numbers of victims, but totally agree with the reporter. This is a massive fire. It's not just a fire that erupted as a result of something and then was quickly put out. So you have what typically would be law enforcement, crime scene investigators going in and securing the scene now that the threat has been neutralized. The threat, and that is now the threat of fire, has not been neutralized. So that active crime scene cannot be entered, and very well possible additional victims that are within the walls of that church, and which again continues to be so tragic. So I would imagine if the fire is able to be brought under control where investigators could get in and then and look for additional victims. And so I imagine they'll also have a little bit of an idea of the connection of this individual, the shooter, to the church or to anyone within the church.
You know, Scott, I want to go back to something that you had touched upon previously, which was the fact that this gunman used...
A big shout out to these little ones. Yeah, I see we're having an issue with that. Aki is just going to make us a new thumbnail anyway, but appreciate you. Thank you.
Used his vehicle as the initial weapon, driving through the front doors of this church before getting out and firing rounds with an assault rifle. We were taking a look at some video previously of the fire that you had stated was, it's not usual. It's incredibly large. And I wonder whether the vehicle itself was part of that thought process with the gas tank, because you have gas inside with the fuel, which is incredibly explosive. Could that have been part of the plan by the gunman in order to create the maximum amount of devastation and destruction?
It's terrible.
Yeah, totally agree. I would, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility and very much at the top of the list, a part of the plan that if, let's just say this person planned some sort of other devices outside of his car and his car ultimately to be that final entry point, and then perhaps also being the trigger, the igniting the fire. I did, and I don't know if it's been confirmed. At one time, I heard a report that the person was in their car. So did they exit or did they fire from their open window? That will remain to be determined. But ultimately, this person believed that they needed to use their car first and foremost as a weapon. And whether you're trampling over people, gaining access, it will be interesting to see as the chronology of, hey, surveillance video that is able to see, hey, this individual arrived, did certain things in and out of his car, then gets into his car and so forth, as opposed to an individual who just makes a decision, a very rash decision to all of a sudden floor it and at a high rate ram the church. I would imagine at some sort of an entry point of a entrance door, and then be able to fire indiscriminately with that assault weapon.
And Scott, I also wanted to ask you this. You were talking about the car, and just to give our viewers a little understanding, in terms of the power of the vehicle, we don't know exactly the make or the model, but I would have to imagine that this gunman would have to be traveling at a relatively high rate of speed to be able to barrel through front doors into a church. I have to imagine that was an incredibly, fast.
Yeah, which also to me takes a little bit of the planning. So, for example, my church, seeing churches on my travel, you can pretty much determine, hey, there are churches, synagogues, whatever, places of worship that you can gain entrance without any stairwell, any staircase. And so thereby you see these doors that typically you have at least two, if not more doors. And you can walk right from your parking lot into your place of worship. And then you may have other sides of your place of worship that has staircases. And so thereby you're not going to use a vehicle you're not going to be able to do it. So I would imagine this person has some sort of connection to this church.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's something like that's random. It could be though. But more likely the person is a parishioner of this church, might have had some type of vendetta against people in the church or the religion itself. And then we also can't ever take out of the equation mental health, because a lot of this has to deal with mental health. But let's keep going.
And or at the very least, spent a little bit of time surveilling and determining this is going to be my point of entry, and I'm going to be able to do it with a weapon. That could also be if you have, in this particular case, a church that has armed security, and this person knows it. It's like, if I'm going to be met with firepower, so let me at least use my car. First and foremost, I'm going to do damage. I'm going to be able to gain access to this church. I'm going to be able to hurt people because I know that wherever there is some sort of entry, very close to are usually your congregants, some sort of pews or chairs. So this person, my guess, once they made that determination to use their vehicle, it is a tremendous speed to be able to get your car up and going and then be able to plow through, which I would imagine are some pretty heavy doors, at least from the churches that in my area that I've seen, that it would take some force to be able to actually, you don't want to get wedged, right? And so the person knows I got to be able to maximize the use of force, get myself into that church, and then be able to start firing, knowing also now there's going to be a fire. And I don't think this person was planning at all at some sort of escape route.
And also, to your point, it almost seems as though the gunman would have been somewhat familiar with the church. As you mentioned, you know, the person obviously knew that he could drive through the front doors, you know, and perhaps, like you said, there weren't necessarily stairs that would impede, you know, the travel process of it. But I would imagine that, you know, because of all of that, the gunman did appear to at least be somewhat familiar with the area, even in terms of driving down the street, in terms of the rate of speed, in terms of where, you know, he anticipated the entry point into the church itself before, you know, firing upon the congregants.
All right, I don't know if I read this out, but big shout out to PR Fissler with a $20 super chat. Says, I cannot imagine how traumatic it must be to be under attack in your place of worship. Regardless of what your faith is, the place where you go to worship should be where you feel comfortably safe and the most at peace. I agree 1000% with that, PR. This is very sad. People are, you know, they're basically making people afraid to come out their homes. You know, like I have people who watch the show and then they'll be like, oh, you know, I'm strategic. I'm scared. I think somebody said it inside of the chat. They're 71 years old. They're afraid to leave their house. And, you know, my first inclination is like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, don't be afraid to live. Like, get out there and just live, you know? And then when you really think about it, like, are these folks wrong for feeling that way? I mean, things are truly dire out there in the world. People are losing their lives left and right. Like, seriously, you know, so yeah, my inclination is don't be like that. You know, you got to enjoy life. You got to get out there. But I can't with good conscience tell these folks that this fair is just a figment of their imagination. And that's sad for me. And it makes me very sad to say that I can't reassure you people that things are going to be okay, because I don't know, because things are so unpredictable out there. I would lie to you if I told you that things are going to be okay. And that is a sad state of affairs that our country is in this position right now. Let's keep going. And we've been that way for a while now. Like, let's be honest here. It doesn't matter who's in power. We're dealing with mass shootings. We're dealing with mass casualty situations, you know, for at least a generation. If it's not our fellow brothers and sisters in America killing each other, it's, you know, it's terrorists, you know, people from outside of the country, 9/11 maybe, you know, like these things are happening and it's very sad, man. It's very sad.
Yeah, this took some planning on this individual's part to be able to know that, for example, not having seen the church outside of the pictures that we're seeing of being totally engulfed in flames, where what did the church look like before with relation to the parking lot, with relation to ground entrance doorways and being able to gain access, and then determining that once this person made a decision, I'm going to use my vehicle to gain entrance and then continue on with my wreaking of havoc, that this is going to be the door. That's why.
All right, I want to just check some other sources out too.
That's why witness statements are crucial, and that's why the authorities are secluding the people that were actually in that church, at least from the media and from others. They want to make sure that their images and what they remember and what they know are preserved. And again, we don't know the relationship between that shooter and the church. We'll say it over and over again until we get something, because that's key information. Was he a parishioner? Did he know someone? Was there a grudge? Does it have anything to do with the fact that it was a church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Does it in fact have anything to do whether it was a Sunday, or anything to do whether there was a mass with hundreds of people going on at the time he went in there, presumably to set a fire that engulfed the entire church and fire multiple shots into a crowded church? I mean, there's a lot of thinking going on, but still a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, and this, Charlie, is going to be a very lengthy investigation. You're talking about hundreds of people inside, hundreds of potential witnesses. There may not be a lot of evidence because of the fire and what that destroyed, but you do have these people's first accounts of what happened, and that is going to be crucial in this investigation. You know, we've been talking about this press conference, the gunman's home. They need to search his cell phone records, try and get any indication as to why this happened. I want you to take a listen now. Earlier this morning, we were able to catch up to a gentleman who was inside the church when all this happened and was trying to flee away from the gunfire. Take a listen to what he had.
This is good. A witness.
So not live, so they'll cut it around. So first, if you could, if you're comfortable sharing your first and last name for me.
Brian Taylor.
Common spelling for both. Brian-Taylor.
Yeah.
And you.
Damn, she wanted him to give the government up like he about to do a police interview. But let's keep going. I wouldn't ask somebody to spell their name on the news, considering that, I mean, anybody can now look this guy up. But let's keep going.
We're shot today.
Shot at. Luckily, yeah, the windshield. This is just shrapnel from the windshield that was as he shot at our car as we were trying to drive away.
And that's your car, the purple one?
Yeah, the maroon Flex. Yeah.
I got a picture of it, or a little video of it. Tell me what was going through your head as that kind of was transpiring.
Honestly, get my wife away and find my son.
So your son wasn't with you. Do you know where he was?
Sorry, that makes me a little more. He was in another vehicle. We were on the phone with him. He was ducked down in another vehicle trying to just lay low.
And you ended up getting in contact with him, and he was okay.
Whoa.
And there was the gentleman, as you just...
Why'd they cut that short, man? That was riveting. I mean, what just happened? Let's keep going.
Who was trying to drive away from the gunfire moments after just the horrific events played out at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township earlier this morning. We know it was around 10:25 this morning that gunfire started erupting. We know a suspect, a 40-year-old suspect from Burton, Michigan, drove to the church, rammed his vehicle into the front doors, got out.
Yeah, I mean, the reporter sounded like she just came out of journalism school. Like, she's laughing and kiki and ha-haing, and this dude, he just almost lost his life. Like, come on. Big shout out to Dr. Cataclysm, $2 super chat. I can't have too much of the truth come out at once. I hear you. I hear you.
And just opened fire, unleashed his gun, and we do know that it was an assault rifle. That is what the chief of police indicated earlier during that press conference, that it was an assault rifle that was used, that there was a DNR officer as well as another police officer that were able to get close to the gunman. They were able to have an exchange of gunfire, and they were able to take that suspect down. We do know it was a 40-year-old suspect from Burton, Michigan. Charlie.
So still a lot of questions to be answered. Some of them, of course, is why the gunman did what he did. It appears to be deliberate on a Sunday service, hundreds of people in the church. He obviously had a lot of rounds. He prepared for that. Don't know how many weapons he had. I don't know if the weapon's been recovered. Don't know if the ammunition, the bullets have been recovered. A lot. Ballistics can tell. Usually they call it ATF. But we do know the feds around the scene. We do know that FBI people there are talking, special agents are talking to the people that were in that church. That's one thing. We also don't know the mechanics. How did he get into the church? The police chief seemed to say that he smashed his car through the front door of the church, which, that in and of itself is a little hard to do. And then he started opening fire.
How's it hard to do? You just drive the truck into the doors. Like, what is this guy talking about? Let me get the picture of the truck, alleged truck, for you guys.
How he set the fire, we believe it was a deliberately set fire, but how did he do it? How could he set a fire so much?
How can you set a fire? Dude, you just set one drape on fire and the whole building come down. Much less the guy might have had an accelerant, but let's keep going. I mean, this reporter is making it seem like it's impossible to do all the things that he most likely did very easily. But let's keep going.
Much that it caused that church to become so fully engulfed and really so quickly. Some people apparently were able to get out. We just saw the one person that was there. He got out. It looks like he says his windshield was hit by the bullets. Again, I think that these are things that the police are going to have to put together, the authorities are going to have to put together to determine why this happened. And again, we now know that the feds, the state, and local authorities all involved. They are focusing now on Grand Blanc, Michigan, and at this church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, it really is all hands on deck right now.
So that's the truck, allegedly. This may be fake, it may be Photoshop, I don't know. That's the alleged truck. You take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. Grain of salt. Everything is preliminary.
First place, and this is going to take a while. There were hundreds and hundreds of people who were inside the church at the time of the shooting. As Charlie mentioned earlier, many of these people were brought to a secure location, so investigators could begin interviewing them, and they need to talk to each and every one of these people to try and get a sense as to how this happened, and that is going to help them piece together a motive and why this all took place in the first place. I mean, just horrific. The fact that 10 people were shot. We know that one person was killed, multiple people in critical condition, multiple people in stable condition. And from what I understand, Ingrid Kelly, she is out at the scene right now. She's been able to track down a resident there. Ingrid, let's send it over to you. Fill us in on what you've got there.
Hey, yes, we are still here at this scene. I'm joined by Nancy Ott, who is a resident here who she needs to get back home. Talk to me a little bit about this morning as this was going down. What did you see? What did you hear?
I didn't see or hear anything. I was at church myself, but
my church.
Right, my Holy Family Church. And my husband sent me a text and he was all upset. He said he heard some shotgun or gunshots and a loud boom, and he's almost 81 and he was really shook up. And in the meantime, our pastor came right back into the church at the end, and he said, if you live near McCandlish and Holly Road, you can't get in there right now. There's been a shooting or something. Apparently the police came to our church and let him know something. And so I went to my brother's, who only lives 4 miles away, and I've been there till now. And I thought I'd try to come back and get home, because my husband's home alone.
And he's 80, he's elderly.
He's elderly, we both are, but anyway, I didn't want to leave him alone for too long. And
what did police say in terms of you getting back home?
Well, they said I couldn't go past that.
I got some Twitter stuff. Allegedly, this is right outside the shooting and all that stuff, and you can see the body. Let's see. Like, I don't know what people be thinking. Like, he says they just took a blood sample, I think. Like, what makes you believe they took a blood sample? What did you see that we didn't see in your 10-second video? I'm sure he was there longer than 10 seconds. That makes you believe they took a blood sample. Or are you just talking out your arse? Let's keep going.
Ribbon, because some other vehicles like these were going to be coming through. And I said, well, I can walk through the yards. I mean, my house is just right there. And he said, no, I'm sorry, ma'am. And I understand, but...
How long are you prepared to stay out here?
Well, thankfully, my brother...
All right, so it looks like the picture of the truck is fake. Once again, the picture of the truck with the American flags in the back is fake. It's fake. It's not real. It's photoshopped. Somebody did that to divide us politically because of the symbolism of the American flags on the back of the truck. Let's keep going. I told you guys, we just got to be patient, man.
Their lives only 4 miles away. I'll just go back to their house.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We don't know what the guy's ideology might be. I mean, I'm just saying, it's too early to tell.
Stay as long as I have to. So
yeah, exactly. Just talk to me about something happening. What do you know about the Church of Latter-day Saints? I know it's not your.
So the basically, let me just bring this over here real quick. So how do we know that's fake? Number one, this looks terrible. It looks like it's Photoshop. Number two, it was confirmed that he drove through the doors. This is a wall. That is not doors. This is a Google photo that anybody can get, purportedly, of this church. Look at that photo right there, right? You see that photo, Google search photo? Look at this photo. Same exact thing. Blown up, though, and there's no door there. That is a wall. Once again, let's go up to this one, which is the stock Google image that was used to make that Photoshop photo. That is a wall. That is not a door. That is some type of decorative window, and it is a wall. And we know that the shooter drove through doors. He entered the church by driving through the doors, not through a wall. It's fake news. Let's keep going.
Church, but what can you tell us, because it's in your residential area?
I always thought it was nice to have churches as neighbors because they're usually quiet and peaceful, and we've never had any problems or anything with them, and they're quiet, and it's nice to have churches nearby.
I know that they said there were quite a few people in there when this incident happened. I mean, this is the main road to the church on any given Sunday. How busy is it with people coming and going?
On the weekends, it's fairly busy, but not extreme. I think when you go into town, it's busier. It's quiet. This is a quiet area. It's close to town, but it feels like you're out in the country.
Yeah. And what do you know about the church's mission and everything like that? Do you see a lot of activities going on there, family activities?
I really don't know much about the church at all. I know they've had visitors come walking through our neighborhood and knocking on doors once or twice, and I've always been pleasant. I mean,
Well, Miss Ott,
Ingrid,
we hope
are you
that
there?
you get home soon.
Me too.
Yes, I am, and I think Charlie has a question. Yes, I'm listening.
Let me ask the resident a question real quick. And you may have covered, and I apologize. The church there, have they had any type of security issues? Have they ever had any disruptions in the church? Anything along those lines?
This is Charlie Langton. He would like to know, have there been any sort of disruptions at the church, any type of security issues at the church over the years that you are aware of?
I'm not aware of anything like that.
It's peaceful.
It's peaceful. It's a peaceful area.
How many people are at this church? Is this a very popular church in the area?
I was asking her that earlier. Just the activity and the amount of people that go back and forth. The chief did say there were quite a few people in the church at the time of this incident. But on any particular given Sunday, how many hundreds of cars? What do you see?
I take my dog for a walk early in the morning, and
Dr. Cataclysm's actually onto something that is a disturbing trend that I've noticed in the mainstream media. And he said, I don't like that they are only adding age and sex of the offender. When this happens, it tends to be because they are protecting a demographic. And that is very true. A lot of times they will protect demographics by not releasing the information that we expect them to release. Guys, I just got to let you know that I do have to go to work. Normally, I would not be doing a live at this time, but this is such a tragedy when you have a church that's attacked that I felt like I felt compelled to go live and bring this to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. So please know that I will be logging off soon, okay? Because I have to get dressed, got to put the suit on, and I got to go to work, okay? So let's keep going. And big shout out to Pris with a $5 super chat. She says, I'm just praying there aren't more casualties, especially from the fire. This whole thing is horrific. It definitely is, and I'm praying right along with you, Pris. Let's pray that there are no more fatalities in this case. Let's keep going.
maybe a few cars coming and going, but I think that's earlier than when they come for church. I don't know what time it starts. And on the Sundays, I'm getting ready for my church, so I'm busy.
Exactly.
Good, one more. Can I ask, is she a little worried now that she lives so close to the church that maybe she's going to do something differently? Maybe gets more video.
This guy's voice is annoying me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe I'm just jealous that I can't talk on a high. I can't use any higher octaves on my voice because my voice is gone. I don't know. I'm hating on him right now.
When this shooter opened fire sometime after 11 a.m., striking from reportedly 6 to 8 people in that church. Their condition unknown. You can see the shot here. This is, we don't control this camera, but this is a local affiliate there. You can see the fire trucks working there. There are police officers there. Like I said, that smoke from the church is billowing a lot less than it was even just 15, 20 minutes ago. So you can understand the situation here, Kevin, where they are working on taking, putting out a fire at the same time that they are looking for victims of an active shooter. Just a horrific situation, a complicated situation there for our first responders in Grand Blanc, Michigan right now at the Church of Latter-day Saints. So we should expect an update within the next 40 minutes or so to give us a sense of what else, just the extent of this horrific situation. We do know, though, according to the reporting, as I said, that this is the police in Grand Blanc Township are saying that there is currently no threat to the public at this time because the shooter is down. That is a bit of good news here, as you can see the first responders trying to figure out, trying to take out this fire while also saving potentially any victims that could be trapped inside, Kevin.
Let me ask you, do we know if the fire was started and then the gunman opened fire, or did he attack the congregation and then set the building ablaze? Do we have any of that information? By the way, I should point this out. This is all happening on a day that the LDS Church announced with sorrow that Russell M. Nelson, the beloved president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, had died. He was 101, the oldest president in the history of the church. So it was a solemn day for mourners. I just wanted to point that out as well. Brian, back to you. What else can you tell us?
Yeah, it's a good point. Sources telling our local affiliate there in Detroit that the suspected shooter may have started the church fire. In terms of what came first, it is simply too soon to tell. What we do know, again, is that this was a shooting that was reported shortly after 11 a.m. You can see neighbors there looking, worryingly looking there. And so there are 6 to 8 victims. We don't know the extent of their injuries. We know that the active shooter is no longer was shot. We don't know if that shooter was killed. All we know is that that shooter is down. So these are all the things you can see. Our satellite view there, Google Maps, gives you an idea of the size of this church. We don't know how big this fire was, just based on the images that we could see. I mean, it was very thick black smoke. So to the extent of when this fire was started by this shooter, how large this fire was, did it take down the whole church? Was it simply in a small part? Those are simply questions that we don't know the answers to yet, but it looks like a substantial fire that they were putting down. This is an earlier video. You can see that the smoke was a lot thicker than it was even during the last couple of minutes of this report, thick black smoke. And you can see also there victims that were brought out on the stretcher, as others, seemingly, even the elderly, coming out of that church. Just a horrific scene this morning, Kevin, in Grand Blanc, Michigan, as we wait to get more information.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
All right. You gotta know when to go. You guys are great. I'm sorry we can't stay here longer and cover this. I know if I kept... Part of the reason why I wasn't adding as much commentary is, number one, we're learning this together. Number two, my voice hurts. And number three, I was searching for updated information on the internet, such as who the shooter is. We know 40-year-old man. We know where he lives. We know that he lives not too far from the church, but we don't know a picture. We don't have any other demographic information on the shooter. I was looking for that. It will come out probably at 5 p.m. if they don't release the identity of the shooter, who has been neutralized at 5 p.m. We got a problem. We have a big problem. Something is being hidden from us. Something is being spun, and we need to dig deeper. But I have confidence that at 5 p.m. they will release the information on who the shooter is, and hopefully some motive might reveal itself. Guys, I'm going to ask you, please hit that like button, support the channel so we can get into the algorithm. I got to get dressed and head to work. So I'll see you guys on the next one. And let's pray for all of the people who have lost their lives. And let's also pray for those who are injured that they'll have a speedy recovery. And I'll even go so far as to say that let's pray for the soul of the shooter as well. Let's be good Christians. Usually I'm fire and brimstone, and I want everybody to get executed. But today, I want to pray for everybody. I want to pray for everyone today. And so that's what I'm going to do. Whatever you do is whatever you decide to do. I'm not going to judge you, but I'm going to pray for everybody involved. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.